Race 1 at Monza is in the rear view, putting a 50-car pro and amateur field and Watkins Glen International in focus for round number 2. It's 50 minutes of GT3 racing ahead. Are you ready? Welcome to the virtual Watkins Glen, New York. JP Costa and Trey Shuttlesworth join me in coverage of today's North American Racing League event, brought to you by RaceLab, TAM Liveries, and JS Consulting. JP, welcome to the virtual New York. Of course, this is, I think, one of those beautiful places to hold a race, and it obviously Watkins Glen has been derived from past circuits and layouts and such, but I think this Watkins Glen layout that we have at this point is proper good racetrack for some fantastic sports car racing.
It is 100% absolutely an amazing racetrack. Quite the opposite, I'd say, from Monza. You know, a lot of elevation changes, quite a few fast corners, but also, obviously, we do have a massive straight line, which is not really 100% straight, but I mean, this track just suits so many different kind of cars so well. It's just a pleasure to drive, and I'm pretty sure these guys are going to be putting on a show and smiling all the way through these 50 minutes of racing because, I mean, this is one of the best racetracks in the world.
Thanks for joining us this evening on our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter platforms as we turn to our Season 2 point standings after just Round 1 last week at Monza. Of course, Matthew Dench with the win holds himself technically atop the standings, but Pedro de Oliveira S is right there with him, actually tied with Matthew Dench atop the entire point standing for the entire series. Mikel Rudebusch comes in third. Of course, he finished third last week at Monza, Juan Rivas Brea, and these standings will just about mirror the results from last week. See, Spencer Hewins has moved over to the blue side, if you will. Pierre Thompson in the top 10. How about Tristan Terracciano? If you look over to the right side, those are your amateurs. That's where you get guys like Blake Scott with last week's win at Monza, Diego Era in there. We've got William Coffey, Jose Antonio Ramos. So many great drivers have put themselves right where they need to be to start this season, but there are also so many other drivers that I think need to rebound this week, including, of course, Jackson Rosende.
Yeah, exactly. Quite a few drivers need a good weekend, need a good race here today to put themselves back in the championship fight. Obviously, we do only have 8 races. It's not a long championship, so every single round counts. And obviously, you mentioned Jackson Rosende needs quite a big bounce back. We can count as well Fabio Zamperlini, our reigning champion as well. Did not race last week. He's probably looking for a better race this time. But yeah, the championship looks close. The pro category tied for points, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be exciting races. And obviously, the amateur as well, I'm expecting to see another amateur driver excelling, you know, just pulling away from the field like we're used to seeing round after round. And, well, I cannot wait to see who he's going to be this time around.
So those are the driver standings. We also have team standings to look at. Here they are. Duck Hawk Racing comes in with the lead currently. So we don't have constructor championships in this series. We do have team championships, and we see Duck Hawk Racing again leading by 6 points currently over Tony Kanon's Full-Time Esports, at least Esports 1. Full-Time Esports 1. There are 2 Full-Time Esports pairings in this field. You also see on the other side, in the amateur category, Full-Time Esports sitting 6th currently with their amateur team, and of course a bunch of teams mixed throughout. Mikel Rudebusch's Pacific Sim Motorsports, of course, he's got other members on that team, but he is racing under that banner. He fits in 7th after his podium last week. Quality Control checks in the top 10. Big Problem Motorsports, they actually check in 9th currently in the amateur category. That is dead last. They did not race. I found that very interesting. No points from last week. Hopefully they make a return to the series this week.
And this just shows, you know, we have such a big variety of teams, you know, such a bigger roster of drivers and teams from last season. It's amazing to see team points, and it's going to be interesting to see how they play out throughout the season. Obviously, as I mentioned, 8 rounds to play, but, you know, it could be a swing back and forth. Obviously, we do have drivers from teams that haven't raced. You know, we do have drivers from other teams that had bad results, and this is all going to shake up, you know, back and forth. And, you know, with lower amount of drivers on each team, or a team that has more drivers, it could be more to play, less to play. And this should be very interesting to play out if we have team orders maybe within the future as the championship gets closer and closer to the end.
I don't think we'll see too many team orders, but you never know. We're looking at the Watkins Glen International track map. We are, of course, running the boot configuration with these GT3 cars. You can see turn 1, almost a 90-degree right-hander. I think a little more than 90-degree, a little more acute than that before you head up to the S's. And from the bottom of turn 2 up to turn 4, it is a big uphill climb that can sometimes catch a car off. And I think the biggest crest that you have to get over between turn 2 and turn 4 is, of course, the midpoint between turn 2 and turn 3 right through the S's. That tends to be where cars, if they're going to get unsettled, get unsettled. Then you rocket down the backstretch here at Watkins Glen down to the bus stop that was, of course, added back in the 1990s. You got the carousel to wrap you around turn number 5, down the chute to the boot. And turn 6, it's not labeled here, but it's kind of called the laces, and you run down the laces down to the toe, of course, down the other backstretch, if you will, to the heel for turn 8, and up the hill again for turn 9. So the elevation change is going to be a big story, I think, today. Maybe not so much in the S's, but certainly when you come up from the heel to turn 9. That's, I think, the biggest elevation change between two single corners on this entire facility, and the biggest one that's going to cause a problem for these drivers today. Turns 10 and 11, relatively simple compared to the rest of the course.
Yeah, 100%. This track offers obviously quite a few overtaking opportunities, but some of those overtaking opportunities, at least in my opinion, they come from mistakes that other drivers do make. You mentioned, obviously, cars can get unsettled between turns 2 and 3. The bus stop is such an easy corner to make a mistake. You're pushing 100% of the time, and sometimes your car just gets unsettled. You miss the braking point a bit. Obviously, turn 6 as well, an easy corner to make mistakes. Turn 7, if you do get offline just a tiny bit, it's an uphill acceleration, so your car is really going to lose a lot of momentum. And obviously, you mentioned turn 9. That's a really easy corner to make a mistake. You're braking uphill, but it's quite a late apex, and the car just kind of goes light, so it's really easy to make a big mistake there and lose tons of time. But obviously, turns 10 as well, you can go wide, turns 11, so it should be very interesting to see some of these drivers going side by side, and obviously seeing how they handle under pressure on such an unforgiving racetrack like Watkins Glen.
The lap record here is set in 2017 in a Chip Ganassi Racing Honda in the IndyCar Series. In fact, last time they were here, I do believe, 122.417 set by Scott Dixon. The GT3/GTD lap record, a 145.081 set by Jack Hawksworth earlier this IMSA season. And there was one particular record, I'm going to be honest, I don't recall it off the top of my head, but it was held by one Daniel Morad. I already see him out in the stream, so glad that Daniel's watching along with everybody else that is watching along tonight for round number 2 of the North American Racing League, at least in season number 2. Glad to have you here. There's already practice underway. Jackson Resende currently leading such practice, and look at that, he's not even in the car anymore. He has parked the car for these, final 11-10 seconds, so practice just about up. You see Pedro de Oliveira, he is sitting in second. Mikael Rudebusch is in third. Brian DeVries and Scott Reister make up the rest of our top 5, at least in pro. Looking to amateur, I'm trying to find the leader. I think it's Jose Antonio Ramos coming in currently as the practice leader in amateur. So practice is wrapping up. We'll head right into qualifying, and JP, this is where really this is the first opportunity for these drivers to show themselves and, well, to take a big step up in competition here today at Watkins Glen.
Exactly. This is the time where the sandbags are going to be off the car. Drivers are going to be going at full pace. And yeah, we're just going to be seeing what these drivers can do in a 1, 2, 3 lap shootout within these cars. Obviously, they're running a stock setup, a fixed setup, so fuel might not be at the lowest point unless they have obviously a qualifying setup. But this is going to be probably the fastest time we're going to see out of the whole racing format. And well, this is the time to push the car to the limit, at least set one good banker lap, and then push to the extra limits, afford a mistake, all this sort of stuff. And we can see drivers like this. I mean, he's pushing straight from the exit of the pits, not really warming up the tires as we're kind of used to. Mikael Rudebusch on his Porsche, just completely pushing. Looks like he's already on a qualifying lap, and he just came out of the box, so just getting used to the track surface, the track temperature, the grip levels, and well, you can push for 2, maybe 3 laps if you get enough time in.
Mikael rocketing down to the toe now of the boot. This is a really challenging corner as well. The entire corner goes up. You turn in down at the base of the hill, and then you climb the hill throughout the course of the corner. And when you crest, exiting turn 7, that can really throw you for a loop. Then we're coming up to the heel, turn number 8. Of course, you come over a hill, back down the hill, and you drop into turn 8 almost, kind of drop into the corner and compress, and then back up the hill here into turn 9. This is what we're talking about. It can really get a car like the Porsche, for example, unsettled right there. It looked like Mikael very stable over turn 9. That's good to see.
Exactly, and then obviously you come for the last 2 corners, And well, this is just an easy corner. You can just go a bit too wide and just lose a lot of that momentum. And then obviously the last corner as well, turn 11, you can really get close to the wall, but obviously don't touch it. As you can see, Brian Long, the 176, he's rocking a BMW, so quite a different car than the Porsche. Obviously for an engine, much easier to drive, much more planted to ground, not a lot of oversteer. And well, you can see again, not using as much of the exit corner as you can have, like the curb, all sort of stuff, and then you rock it down into turn 1. As you mentioned, Andrew, a bit more, maybe a bit more than 90 degrees, but a bit of banking, I'd say, and obviously you can extend the exit forward than that white yellow line and then just shoot out into that, actually, a straightaway that is not straight. It's almost like Baku, isn't it?
Oh, it's not a straightaway at all. These are definitely corners. You'll definitely have to lift in some high traffic scenarios. You shouldn't have to lift on your own in these cars. They've got enough downforce. They're pretty well planted. But in high traffic scenarios, you'll be pedaling the car a bit up the S's. What I learned about this BMW earlier today, actually, is we had a car spotlight on our social media channels, is that this is no longer a V8 powering this BMW GT3 car. It's an inline 6, and that actually kind of surprised me. Of course, BMWs, they're pretty big. Of course, we call them wide boys, at least the M8s, the GTE cars, but they're big cars. They kind of lumber around. I would have expected a V8 out of BMW still, but they make the same power with a bit of a lighter motor. It helps them put focus elsewhere in the car. If they're going to put weight, they can move that weight around and help exemplify other parts of the car. Here's the Ferrari that we spotlighted last week, of course, going into Monza. You've got to spotlight a Ferrari going into Monza rather. This is Rob Rodriguez coming out of turn number 6 out of New York. Several cars getting up to speed here. One of the Audis, one of the only Audis I see in the field is, oddly enough, our reigning champion, Fabio Zamperlini.
Exactly, Fabio just coming back, and he is hoping, I'm pretty sure, to come back extremely strong. If he can put a good lap time, we all know how quick the Audi can be, and we know how quick Fabio can be. He was the reigning champion. He didn't make a lot of mistakes last season. Obviously, unfortunately, in Brazil, we kind of did see the rooftop of his car in the wrong angle, but, you know, he's probably fine. He has the #1 car on his belt. We're already seeing some lap time, so we're just going to see if Fabio can match or even exceed going to provisional pole at the time. He's coming around the last quarter. Matthew Dench goes over 145.3. Now Fabio, he's coming up to the line full bench. Jackson Rezende goes second. Fabio, he goes on pole, doesn't he? Provisional pole. Yes, he does. 0.2 of a second.
Wow. So a 45.157 for Fabio Zamperlini, a 45.302 for Matthew Dench. That's a large gap here at Watkins Glen. There are not many places to mess up, but if you mess up, it will be big, and it seems like maybe Matthew Dench could find some extra speed. He's sporting Race Lab on the back end of this BMW, looking pretty solid through the bus stop and into turn number 5 rather. I don't know where I got the 8 from, but that was an interesting one. Down to turn number 6 he'll go. And Matthew just looking pretty solid. I really noticed in some testing and, of course, getting the screenshot for our car spotlight earlier today, I've got to admit that this BMW is one of the most stable cars I've ever driven. It was so easy to just urge this car in the right direction, and it picked the racing line at that point. It really wants to go racing, and it will do so very, very stably. It's really nice just driving this race car. However, Pedro de Oliveira goes fastest in a Ferrari and immediately toes to the pit lane and is going to take another shot at it. So I think these guys are opting for cooler tires. They don't like the tires once they're up to temp. That's weird.
It could be Fabio Zamperlini. Looks like he may have aborted this lap. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
but
slow
it's the
into
same.
turn 8.
Yeah, it looks like he's quite slow, so may have just aborted this lap.
Well, I think they get 3 laps. I think he's just cooling his tires down, but keeping the lack of fuel. I think that's really smart by Fabio. If you want to cool the tires down, that's one thing. But at least keep running because you continue to consume fuel. You're lighter then. That's really smart by Fabio.
And obviously, if you have a clutch pedal set up, you can keep revving the car in high revs and keep burning a little bit more fuel. And obviously, in qualifying, that won't make a lot of difference. Jackson Rezende is still out on track on his Ferrari. So currently, he goes second place. Looks like he's in second place right now. So Pedro de Oliveira and Jackson Rezende both in a Ferrari, first and second. Fabio in an Audi in third, and Matthew in a BMW in fourth. So it's Scott Reiser as well in a Ferrari in fifth. So kind of an interesting top 5, mostly dominated by Ferraris, but we do have 2 completely different cars in third and fourth place.
and the rest of the top 10 is made up entirely of Ferraris as well. So a lot of Ferraris today. I really thought the BMW had something here, but I think this Ferrari being brand new to the sim, and obviously BOP, a big topic of conversation always in GT racing, but I think it's maybe got the edge right now with the BOP. And that tends to be the case when a brand new car is introduced to the sim, and it's no fault of iRacing. It's really tough to gauge exactly how the car is going to perform. Now, while this Ferrari is not necessarily brand new, it's an update to the previous 488, it is new enough, and it's technically a new car. It's been rescanned. It's not like they just remodeled the old one. It has been rescanned. Yeah, I think just unfortunately sometimes you get a brand new car to the sim and it tends to be a little bit better until iRacing is able to fine-tune a car. Again, no fault of iRacing at all. It just tends to be that way when you release a brand new car. It's hard to pinpoint exactly how it will do. Of course, drivers just tend to find what works for them in a particular car. Here is Kevin Sandiego, the number 288 car. Good to see that he's in the 288 instead of the 212 this week. He'll round turn number 9 here and was in 8th, now drops to 9th in qualifying. Bryce Rodriguez noticed his YouTube channel recently. Big shout out to Bryce Rodriguez. He's in the top 10 currently in qualifying. Take him joins him one position behind, but Quintego a little bit faster. As actually he drops down to 12th. I believe Juan Rivas Brea moved him down a spot. Take him does not improve.
Looks like, yeah, either he was finishing up his lap or starting a new one. But Pedro de Oliveira right now in a fast lap. Fabio Zamperlini cooling off the tires, but this may have just been it. 2 minutes to go, you cannot set a lap. John Sadlak is going to be crossing the line. Does he improve? Does not look like it, so unfortunately it looks like John is going to be stuck with his lap right now. The 120 BMW Mativ, he's still 1.2 seconds off the pace right now, but looks like he's on a fast lap as well, so keep an eye out for that BMW. We do have a BMW in 4th place, so it does have the pace on the right hands. You just have to set up a lap time, and as you mentioned, Andrew, it's quite a stable car. It could not be the fastest in qualifying, but during the race, this could really, really prove itself as a fast car for the long term.
I can't help but notice that it's a slightly smaller car count this week. Watkins Glen down to 44 from 51 last week. Can you believe we had more cars last week in the race than minutes? 51 cars for a 50-minute race. Isn't that incredible?
Well, that's pretty much makes it impossible. If we broadcast one car per minute, it wouldn't be enough to cover the whole field. So this is a big props, a big shout out to NARL for this amazing field, and it proves to be fantastic. And Pedro de Oliveira goes even faster, 144.8. So those qualifying points could really be paying off at the end of the season, as it looks like Braid's on a McLaren on 7th place. That's a nice side for sore eyes. Seeing a McLaren doing so well, looks like he's practicing a bit of pit entry. And well, I mean, putting a McLaren that up high on a track like this, well, that's a big props.
Spencer Hewins, and he just crashed across the line, but he has gone to 23rd quick, so he got a lap time in. He was down somewhere around 40th, so it's good that he got that lap in. Looking through some more of the field, this is going to be Lupe Gonzalez, currently in 37th. I don't think, unfortunately, that Lupe is going to get another lap in. 20 seconds left, although you know what? The timer could extend just enough. We'll see exactly what Lupe is able to do. This is at a turn 10 with 10 seconds to go. I don't think it's going to work out for Lupe, unfortunately. But we've seen weirder things. Let's see what the timer does. Out of 3, 2, 1, 0. Oh, and he puts it in the wall, so that's going to invalidate the lap time anyways. He might have had just enough time to get there. Just enough. But yeah, that's pretty awfully close. Qualifying done, wrapped up then. Done and dusted, completely over. 44 cars ready to take to the grid. JB, what do you say we go ahead and meet them? Go ahead and introduce our top 10 drivers at Watkins Glen.
I'll do it with pleasure. In 1st place, we do have Pedro de Oliveira in the 250. Alongside him, a Brazilian as well, Jackson Rezende in the 225 on the outside lane. In 3rd place, we do have the reigning champion, Fabio Zamperlini in the number 1 car. And outside of him, his teammate, Matthew Dench in the 283 in his BMW. In 5th place, we do have Mikael Bruderbusch, our 3rd place finisher last week in 5th place. And 6th place, Carl Reiser in the 242. 7th place, we do have Juan Brea in the 213 and the 211 of Scott Kimbrough in 8th place. And rounding off row number 5, the top 10. In 9th place, we do have Tay Kim in the 277 and the 221 of Brian DeVries in 10th place.
Starting 11th today is that number 288, the Ferrari of Kevin Sandiego, next to Bryce Rodriguez. Starting from 13th this afternoon at Watkins Glen, it's Pablo Ferretti in the 113, one of our amateur drivers, with John Sedlak starting from 14th. And that may be, in fact, our amateur pole sitter, Pablo Ferretti, potentially with a pole in class. It looks like it is. I don't see any 100 numbers in front of him. Congratulations to Pablo Ferretti with the amateur pole. Mike Braun will start right behind, in fact, starting from the 15th position. That's on second place in amateur. Brian Long will start from 16th overall, third place in class. Starting 17th on the grid, is going to be Juan Mative in the 120, William Coffey next to him. I'm glad to see that 157 of William Coffey in the field. Starting 19th this afternoon, it is Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez with Blake Scott alongside.
In 21st place, we do have Matthew Case in the 141. Alongside him in the 108, we do have Ian Ward in the 22nd place. In 23rd, we're going to have Spencer Hewins, the number 01, obviously the reigning champion of the amateur class. Alongside of him, Scott Angelo in the 268. In 25th place, I do apologize, Bruno Alcaraz in the 244. Alongside him in the 178, Joshua Benjamin in 26th place. 27th place, we're going to have Diego Aero in the number 25. And the number 142 of Johnson Jones looks like in the 28th spot. 29th spot, and running off row number 15, we're going to have Rob Rodriguez in the 226 and the 218 of Pierre Thompson in 30th place.
Clarence Rosa joins our field from 31st on the starting grid. Sonny Brown will start 32nd in the number 115. Daniel Hall starts from the 33rd position this afternoon in the 172 with Sean Patterson to his left side in the 154 McLaren. Starting from the 35th position, it's the 199 Zachariah Rosar with Radhamas Rodriguez starting from 36th. Starting 37th, one driver we talked about in qualifying, Lupe Gonzalez with Armando Bejaran starting pretty deep in the field for a pro driver. Starting from the 39th position is Chris Winstone. It's the 137 car with Kenneth Michael over his left shoulder to round out the top 40. Four more cars will start from the field today. They are going to be Brian Sauerman in the 134, Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez in the 214, Joshua Jensen, the deepest starting of all of our pros, and Dominique Angelicio. So 44 cars, all tailed up by the 281 and the 128 this afternoon from Watkins Glen. Let's take a look at our weather for today's race. It's round number 2 of 8. You can see 75 degrees in the air, 77 degrees on the racetrack. Very calm, actually sustained winds at about 8 miles an hour. That's a bit higher than I would have expected. And JP, I talk about 8 races on this schedule. Here they are. Watkins Glen today, October 21st. Spa next week. Then Belle Isle, Silverstone, Hungaroring, Phillip Island, and Road America.
What a championship. I mean, I cannot wait. Each one of these racetracks is going to be more special than the other. And some challenges, obviously some salt thrown into the mix, a spanner in the mix as I like to call it. And well, I mean, they're an amazing, but Watkins Glen right now, it's going to be a fantastic one. Spa as well, Belle Isle, all of these racetracks. Again, NARL providing us with a great season, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, 8 races. I'm excited for all of them. Monza, of course, is done and dusted. Watkins Glen is about to begin. Spa next week. That's going to be interesting. Of course, a lot of racing room there. A lot of space for these cars to spread out. I think that will be a good thing, especially with these heightened car counts. The Belle Isle Street Course, that's going to be interesting. Detroit is going to be well, chaotic, I think is a good way to put it. Silverstone will be a nice little race. Hungaroring should be interesting. A lot of room to race there as well. Phillip Island, that'll be a bit like Donington Park, I feel. And then Road America to round out the season. Also, a lot of space to race. Should space these guys out, but should also be a pretty solid championship crowning event. 50 minutes on the horizon for these drivers. Pedro de Oliveira S. and Jackson Rosende, full-time esports teammates, will lead us to the green flag, and we are underway from Watkins Glen. One car around, that is going to be big down in turn number 1. Not exactly sure who's around back there, but we've got problems. Lap number 1, turn number 1.
Something we kind of did expect. It happens in all GT racing. Luckily, only one that really shows the quality of this.
Oh, no, I think it was Spencer Hewins.
Oh, Spencer Hewins already turned into turn 1, so Looks like he's going to be on for a comeback race. He's starting, well, he lost quite a bit of ground, but looks like the full-time esports drivers, the teammates are still 1 and 2, and I'm pretty sure the duck hawking teammates are still 3 and 4. Andrew, you're going to confirm that information, but, well, looks like a clean start for our leaders.
Take Him had to pull over and stop in the bus stop, gives up a lot of spots. He had moved into the top 10, now drops to 14th. Here's Take Him at a turn 6, trying to spar a little bit with John Zedlak and Brian D. Long, gets in front of both of them. Pedro de Oliveira still leading the way, followed up closely by Jackson Resende and Fabio Zamperlini. Mikhail Rudovich sitting in 4th and 5th, currently going the way of Matthew Dench. Into turn 8 for the first time. It's a lot of cars for this system to render.
Exactly, as you mentioned, 44 cars, quite a bit of cars, but you know the top 5 looks like they're pretty much already pulling off away into the distance, and it looks like we're gonna have a big field leading off by a McLaren into 6th place as we have drivers going side by side. Looks like into turns 9, and well, I mean, 1 car only around into turn 1, that just shows the quality of the grid, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna see plenty more battles, as looks like we nearly had a battle for P3 on the final corner.
1 lap is complete, and it goes the way, of course, of Pedro de Oliveira for full-time esports. Jackson Resende comes across the line, and these guys are picking up right where they need to, these 2 Ferrari drivers. This is exactly what full-time esports needs to do. Not the greatest week aside from Pedro. Jackson was nowhere to be found. Of course, Pedro ran 2nd last week. They need to get Jackson back up where he is now if they want to win this team championship, and if, of course, they want to put Jackson back in contending fashion.
Exactly, they do need a perfect weekend from now on, and well, this obviously is the perfect start. A 1-2 in qualifying, a 1-2 currently in the race, obviously only lap 2, but this is exactly what they need. It looks like we're gonna have a battle through the bus stop back here. I'm not 100% sure who that was, but I'm all up for it. If these guys can keep it clean through the bus stop, they can keep it clean anywhere on this racetrack. Looks like Scott Kimbrough in the 211 trying to make moves. Is gonna go down the inside, but gets that move completely shut. And well, this is just gonna keep on going. That Ferrari up ahead of him has absolutely no interest in letting him over.
This is the battle for 10th currently. Kevin San Diego, the bright red Ferrari in front, he's 9th. Bryce Rodriguez right in front, he's 10th. We're on board with Scott Kimbrough in 11th. Take Him is somewhere further back. And Kevin San Diego is about to bring the fight to Scott Reister. I think this is the first time we've seen Scott in a Ferrari, and he's following another battle up ahead. Brian DeVries is on the tail of Juan Rivas Brea with a challenge at a turn 9. Juan has to take a wider line, give the Ferrari room, but is able to cut off the exit and power back in front. Solid move there from Juan.
Exactly, a perfect defending move around the outside. You don't see that much often, but obviously around the outside it gives you quite a bit more exit speed and obviously allowed him to keep on going. But the McLaren does not look like it has the pace of the Ferraris. You can see just a Ferrari train behind him as we do have a battle further on. Looks like Spencer Hugh is already trying to make positions as he's chasing right now. Looks like Red Haynes Rodriguez up ahead of him. And well, a big train, he already caught up, so a bad start, well, he's all up for it.
Spencer Hewins currently in the 36th position. That's deep within the field, isn't it? I mean, that is really deep. I mean, he's already made a pretty solid recovery. He was in 43rd, it looks like, at the drop of the green flag, or at least shortly thereafter. So already being up to 36th, he's made up 7 or so spots. And you know what? 43 cars, this is going to feel like a NASCAR race in some ways, or at least of old, where you had 43 cars. Sometimes you start in the back, like in the old NASCAR video games, and you just got to fight your way through this field. So Spencer Hewins into the bus stop for the 3rd time? Yes, the 3rd time. Lap 3 of 29. Oh my goodness. This Porsche, he wants to go, but he's going to have to be a little more restrained than that potentially.
Exactly, that's just how easy it is to make a mistake. Obviously, you're following a car so closely, sometimes you just lose your bearings on a braking spot by 5-10 meters, and that's just enough to throw you completely off. But looks like he has the pace to get through these guys, as like they're battling up ahead of him. I'm not pretty sure. That looks like it's Pierre Thompson battling up ahead of him. So, I mean, if these battles keep happening, he's just going to close up so quickly, and looks like he has the pace to get through these guys. Now the matter is just finding the correct moment, as it looks like Thompson might be making a move on Kenneth Michael around. Oh, look at that Porsche coming, so trying to be opportunistic, but looks like he's going to have to wait at least a few corners, as it looks like those two are going to be going side by side into turns line. And well, they make it stick, and look at it, the Porsche just going around the inside and getting a free position.
That's Joshua Jensen. Mentioned him starting very deep within this pro field. He and Spencer Hewins and Pierre Thompson, they're very deep for pro drivers. Obviously, we covered the issues there for Spencer Hewins on the first lap, getting turned around and what have you. Here comes Joshua Jensen. What a move. Up the inside. This will go for 32nd on Kenneth Michael across the line. So big stuff there from Joshua Jensen. A lot moving around deep in this field. Let's move up a little bit, though. Let's talk about somebody that I'm expecting a lot out of this season. Somebody who was pretty solid from the get-go. Last time around, Joshua Benjamin was one of the early amateur competitors throughout the season, was one of the early contenders for the championship, and then kind of fell off. Stayed within the points battle by pretty much consistency, but I think it really needs to turn up the wick this season, and I expect him to do so. He's 25th for now, JP, working on Johnny Jones, but I see bigger things ahead.
Exactly, you mentioned his main quality, we would say it's consistency. He can keep his car clean and he can keep the moves going, but well, that's exactly what he needs. He needs to make those moves more often, just show more raw speed and, well, more confidence, and it looks like he's showing that right here and right now. So if he can keep this up, he'll definitely make a lot of ground in this championship, and who knows, maybe fight for the championship later on in the season. But he just has to keep. Oh, looks like we do have a big crash right behind him as we were talking about. Josh, I'm not pretty sure that's a Mercedes of Armando Bejarran. Is that it?
Yeah, the Wahuka racing machine, all kinds of torn up. That was at a turn 7. I'd have to imagine there was contact. Spencer Hewins is right behind him now as Spencer's battling with Kenneth Michael, gets on by that Mercedes, and now we'll come up to the crash scene, or I guess the crashed Mercedes there of Armando Bejarran. Let's take a look at things. Let's go back and see if we can't find out what happened to Armando here. That's a lot of damage at a turn 7. I would have to imagine there was help going into that corner potentially. This is at a turn 6, and right behind him, that is, let's find out, Daniel Hall out of Ohio in that Ferrari.
I mean, even the smallest of touch can upset the Mercedes, but well, the Ferrari looks wild. Oh, he just goes a bit too wide into the grass, and you saw, Andrew, it was just the fraction of the tire on the grass, and that was just enough to send that Mercedes spinning. And as you mentioned, that was a head-on crash. That's a big damage. That's a lot of damage, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be going straight into the pits and getting that fast repair, and unfortunately losing quite a bit of time in that later strategy.
Back up front, it's all Pedro de Oliveira leading over his teammate Jackson Rosende. There's a battle behind. Fabio Zamperlini with trouble here from Mikel Rudebusch. This 222, man, he was really good last week at Monza, fell off later in the race, but Mikel's got something here. 4th and challenging our reigning champion.
Yeah, 100% Mikel has got some good pace. And we know Mikel from past broadcasts, from past leagues, and we know he has the pace. He has the aggressiveness that he needs to make overtakes, and he just has to put that all on a single package. And well, if he can get past Fabio Zamperlini, the question is, can he get close to Resende and maybe pass him? Because looks like he did not have the pace on qualifying, but on race pace, looks like obviously Pedro is going away. Jackson Resende is kind of keeping up. But Fabio Zamperlini, Mikel Rudebusch, and Matthew Dench, they're all keeping up with the Ferrari of Jackson Resende, which is really impressive, considering how quick and how dominant the Ferrari seems to be.
Fabio using that draft on the front stretch, lost a little bit of time at a turn 11. Into turn 1, I think, likely can challenge these hard braking corners, these slower corners a bit harder than the Audi. I think that's the expectation, but the Audi might be a little bit more lively on the sweepers. I think that is the anticipation there for Fabio, going with the Audi over the Ferrari. And right now, I think that's pretty well working out. Of course, the legs of this Ferrari, though, are going to bring Mikel right back in, potentially to fighting distance. Not going to happen this time around into the bus stop, but that's what's going to be a benefit for Mikel as the race goes on, so long as he nails these apexes in the chicane, and that time he did not. Lost a 1/10 and a half, 2/10.
Yeah, 100%. The Porsche was much stabler, I guess, on the bus stop chicane, and you can see how much is closing in. It looks like the Porsche might be the better car, at least on this phase of the race, 10 minutes in. And it looks like Fabio might be feeling the pressure, might be looking a bit more into his mirrors, kind of worrying about where Mikel might make his move. So he needs to stay on point. He needs also his teammate Matthew Dench to kind of come in closer and trying to apply more pressure into Mikel. That's obviously some part of the team game that might be expected from teammates, as we do have, looks like, another smaller train that looks like Juan Mative, and looks like Tay Kim and John Sadlek are right ahead of him.
Yeah, John Sedlak leading this trio of cars into turn 8. Tay Kim is in the middle in that white Ferrari, and the BMW back here is Juan Mativ. These guys racing for 12th, 13th, and 14th. Juan Mativ, I believe, has become our amateur leader. We talked a lot about Juan Mativ last week at Monza as being one of the premier amateur drivers. It looks like he's picking up right where he left off, currently leading the way in his category, but not without challenge. Brian Long is close behind, only a second back.
Exactly, only a second back. Sometimes we do see the amateur leader completely just drifting off, maybe into the top 10s. Looks like we do have a slower car heading into turn 1. Oh, Bryce Rodriguez, maybe a mistake. We saw puff of smoke on the stream, so I'm not pretty sure if that was a lockup, maybe a spin or something, but something has happened to Bryce Rodriguez. He may give up that position, as we do have a few cars further back coming into turns 2 and 3. And well, the Ferrari domination is real, but we do have some other cars that may just be better on the long run.
Now this is a camera that we have to show off. This is on board with William Coffey. Can you see, JP, right over the dash on the left side of the car, right above the left front, right on the left front, right there. Do you see that logo on the car?
I do, in fact. I do,
and
I like it.
William Coffey went ahead and threw on a Pit Stop TV logo. As you can see, he's got a car in his mirror that's Blake Scott in a Ferrari. Interesting that Blake has gone for a Ferrari. I don't see any Lamborghinis in the field today. I wonder why that might be. But yeah, there's a Pit Stop TV logo. I think we could show it off from this camera as well, potentially. Yeah, you can see a little bit of it there, just over the roof of the car. It's in a kind of interesting place to try and show off, but I told them that we'd try and do our best. It's not working, as you can see, Blake Scott close behind. But William Coffey chose just on his own to go ahead and put that logo on his car, say hi, and that's awesome. That's what we want to see out of these drivers, at least from our point of view, in addition to the racing, because that's just so cool. The community that's building here with the North American Racing League is really unique and really a lot of fun to be a part of.
Exactly. These guys are very, very welcoming. They're so nice. It's amazing to see the kind of the friendship that has been brought upon these guys. Obviously, we see some title rivals last season. They are now teammates. A lot of these guys are, talkative. They're open to ideas and all sort of stuff. So it's just amazing to see, as you mentioned, the community that has been open to us, obviously at Pit Stop TV, and it's just nice to see these guys being so welcoming and so open about everything. And I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Back up front a little bit, here is Scott Reiser challenging Juan Rivas Brea, and this McLaren started out really nicely in qualifying and has since slipped back quite a bit. This is Juan getting passed, it looks like, potentially by Scott Reiser. Oh, that was a sketchy challenge into the bus stop. This is on board with Kevin Sandiego now watching these two. Scott Reiser in the 242 Ferrari directly ahead, and that McLaren, that is Juan Rivas Brea. This is for 7th, 8th, and 9th, and look at that aero wash, man. That's a corner, at least getting up onto the chute from the carousel. That's totally fine, easy to do, full throttle on your own. But when you get in the draft of a car and you lose that front downforce, you lose all forward balance, and you go pushing off the track like that.
It's really difficult to manage sometimes on fast corners like that. Obviously, some other cars it gets even worse. Obviously, LMP2, F1, and LMP1s. But on GT cars, sometimes you expect the effect to be a little smaller, but it still hurts. Obviously, tires do kind of overheat. You kind of do wear them off. Trying to stay close to these guys, and obviously, whenever you're in the same manufacturer, obviously Ferrari running behind a Ferrari, it could get worse because it's the same aero settings, obviously the same car, so it kind of does get a little bit trickier. But obviously that's one of the defense mechanisms of the McLaren. It looks like he got quite a bit lost into turns 10, I'm pretty sure, and well, he's fending off really well the train of Ferraris behind him, and it's just a matter of how long can he keep them behind.
I think the best defense mechanism right there, the flames shooting back, a dragon breathing at you. I think that just backs a driver off pretty easily, doesn't it? Boy, I love these McLarens. I really, really do. I'm glad that Juan Rivas is sporting one of these cars. This McLaren is just so cool, shooting flames out the back like that. And that's kind of become McLaren's thing as of late, is shooting flames at the back. It's just awesome. Yeah, even Daniel Morad noticing that McLaren. It looks so cool.
100%. The cooler is going to be this move down into the bus stop. Can he make it stick this time? They're still going to go side by side, but the McLaren keeps on fending out. Looks like the flames might be working, but I'm pretty sure he hoped this was going to be an Aston Martin, probably from 007, just throwing some things on the racetrack behind him to keep those guys behind. But looks like those flames are getting the job done.
And it's bringing Kevin Sandiego back into things. Sandiego was looking on the outside there into 6. Oh, that's wide out of 6. He falls back a little bit, just seeing him peek around the 242 of Reister. God, these flames are just awesome. I love this. We can burn some virtual cameras pretty easily this way, but it looks so cool.
I'm just gonna ask you, how long does it take to melt a virtual camera around those flames?
That's a great question. One that I don't want to find out just yet. Kevin San Diego again, looking to the inside, poking his nose around Scott, and I don't think Scott is wavering, but he is falling back a little bit from Juan. And this is interesting in this little battle. This battle is spicy. That's a great way to put it. I hope pun was intended there, Daniel. This is also bringing Scott Kimbrough into things. Well, he's in 10th. He's going for 9th, 8th, potentially 7th from these guys. This is a good little battle.
I was just gonna mention this battle is really, really interesting because none of these guys can afford to lose position. Scott Reister obviously getting a little bit of pressure from Kevin San Diego, who's also getting a little bit of pressure from Scott Kimbrough. So if you try to make a move and it doesn't work out, you're gonna be losing tons of time. And I'm pretty sure one of these guys with a clean exit out of pretty much any corner will try to make a move as soon as the opportunity presents itself. So this could get really interesting really quickly. This what was a 3-car battle is turning now into a 4-car battle.
I want to listen to something here specifically on Scott Kimbrough as Reister and Rivas are going at it again. We'll catch up to that if they wreck, but listen to this. Hopefully some of our more keen-eared listeners or watchers will hear that. That's really odd, whatever Scott Kimbrough is doing into the corner, as yes, that pass has been completed now for 7th. Scott Reister is around Juan Rivas Brea. Classic move into the bus stop, but listen to it again. I think he's putting the clutch in on downshifts. Yeah, that is big-time fuel saving right now. Scott Kimbrough is putting the clutch in a GT car. That's weird. You don't hear that every day.
You don't hear that every day, but this could have a massive payouts during the pit stop sequence if it saves quite a bit of fuel. But unfortunately, that McLaren is kind of dropping off, isn't it? Just losing 2 positions in 1 lap. Could have been 3, but that's just, unfortunately, it's not going to have the pace. It looks like the dominant Ferraris, at least on this racetrack. And it's just a question, can he keep now Scott Kimbrough behind him, or does he just allow him to get past and just start saving fuel to try and get past these guys? Because looks like on raw pace, the McLaren might not be on par with the Ferraris.
This battle is rather fascinating, and it should continue to be the exact same as Juan Rivas Brea dropping off a little bit in the McLaren, looking like maybe he's used up his tires. 32 minutes remain here at Watkins Glen. We're going to take a step aside, but not too far aside. We'll be side by side.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Welcome back to the virtual Watkins. Glen, we didn't go too far away, so you saw the battle the entire time, and we're rejoining this battle. Well, actually, a different battle. A battle we picked up during that side-by-side. And JP, it's a pretty good one. It's 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Mikel Rudebush, Fabio Zamperlini, and Matthew Dench. Mikel finally got on by Fabio, and now is having to defend a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. He got by, but he did not get away as, I guess, as he intended. The Audi of Fabio Zamperlini is still very, very close to that Porsche. And while a single mistake, a small mistake could cost him back that position that he worked so hard to get by. And obviously, Fabio cannot afford to make a mistake. He has his teammate, Matthew Dench, right behind him. So, obviously, we could be seeing some team orders as we fight for the championship. But I'm not pretty sure, as you mentioned. It's still early days into the championship. But I mean, this battle is just going to get better and better if that Porsche cannot get away. If the Audi can still keep up with the Porsche, this could get very interesting very quickly.
A lot of you guys are out in the chat. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight to Pit Stop TV. So glad that you're here for North American Racing League competition for the 2nd time in Season 2. The, I think, 12th time now in 2021 overall. It's been a lot of fun covering this series, the North American Racing League, brought to you by RaceLab, Tam Livery, and JS Consulting. And if you don't know about these partners just yet, RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app, and I guarantee you that several drivers in this field are using RaceLab. JS Consulting provides custom website and app development, including iRacing League website design and hosting. Find JS Consulting at johnsedlak.com. And Tam Liveries offers custom packages for some of the best livery designs in iRacing. Used by pros and amateurs alike, you will definitely look good on track. Some fantastic partners of the North American Racing League. We've got some great partners of our own. Of course, Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music. Use promo code PITSTOPTV at checkout for 10% off of your order today. Not to mention Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. Some fantastic people up there in the great state of Maine doing some fantastic work to make you look the best that you possibly can. And of course, Whiplash Media, the official graphic and camera provider of Pit Stop TV and BAM Racing videos by a race fan for the racing community. Boy, that was a mouthful, JP. We rejoin you. 27 minutes to go in this race, so just about halfway, and we've just had a problem for Matthew Dench. He is nowhere to be found suddenly. He may have just dropped out of the server.
Oh, is this flashbacks to the finale of last season? Just a small blink of connection, and that could have cost him his race. He was running well in 5th place. And if that happened, well, it's going to be a big for the championship. He won last time out, and if he DNFs today, that could cost him big time.
I still don't see Matthew Dench. He's still not here. This is a really big problem for Matthew Dench. He's dropping through the order. I think he is officially out of the session, ladies and gentlemen. This is big. Last week's winner from Monza is out. At least unofficially. Has he rejoined? No. Matthew Dench still done. Still out for the count. Gone. Boy, that's huge. Pierre Thompson has a problem. He has stopped on the course, and this is at a turn 11. Buddy, it is not going to turn around that way. You're going to have to reverse.
Yeah, looks like he's avoiding.
Oh, I didn't mean like that. I did not mean. Oh, my goodness. Did they get by? Bruno Alcaraz is still rolling, but Kenneth Michael did not get through.
Oh, that Mercedes did not get through. That was really sketchy. One went for the right, one went for the left side. I'm pretty sure that Mercedes may have just clipped the grass. But one small rejoin had huge complications for one driver.
There's a lot that went on here. So Kenneth Michael had one car go around in front of him. Watch this at a turn 9. There goes a Ferrari. I'm not entirely sure who that was. And then Kenneth Michael is going to have a car broadside in front of him here. This is a great look at it from on board. There's Pierre Thompson. Where do you go? Where do you go? That way. Oh, grass into the guardrail. And into the tire stack there as well.
Oh, that was a big hit. And that onboard just shows how quickly things can happen, how quickly it can change. Sometimes you're just preparing to go for the racing line, and then all of a sudden you have a car rejoining the racetrack. So that was quite a bit unfortunate. Looks like we do have a car on the pit stop. That's Spencer Hewins. Yeah, it looks like our first scheduled pit stop.
Yeah, this is early, it feels like, and I believe he towed. Yeah, he towed, because that pit timer is the same for the lane and the box time. He must have towed to get there. What happens? Oh my goodness. I think this is into turn 6 or 7. I'm not entirely sure. Here's Spencer Hewins now in the pit lane. He's had a big problem.
So that's... Hold on, I'm just wanting to see what this Porsche is going to do. Normally, in my head, obviously I haven't driven the Porsche yet. It looks quite stable. That car looks like it's already drifting, so it looks like on entry it got quite a bit lost. And that doesn't look like a lot of damage, so does he get tangled out on the rejoin, or does he just decide to tow? Well, he goes for the rejoin, still all said and done, so no big reason for the tow, and then he just parks.
Pulls over, takes a tow, and that's it. Armando Bejaran now with problems. Oh no, not problems. He's in the pit lane. That's what it is. So, Armando Bejaran, we rejoin you in live action. Here we go. And, or at least, that's live action. There we go. It was initially replayed. Now we're back live with Armando Bejaran. Multiple cars in the pit lane. Winstone is in the BMW. We've got Zachariah Rosar leaving now. Radhamas Rodriguez. Many cars towards the back end of the field. Pitting a little bit earlier than we thought we might see. And Sonny Brown is around, it looks like, in the bus stop.
Yeah, looks like he just missed the bus stop, came to a complete stop.
Oh no, it's a lot more complicated than that. We'll see in a moment, but waiting on the replay. There we go. Sonny Brown out of Indiana, right in front of one of the SDS cars. I don't think that's Juan Rivas Brea. I believe that is a different car, but one of his teammates. And yeah, that's one of the amateurs, so definitely a different car. Oh, and he just catches the grass. Team Empire blew a car around.
Yeah, 100%. That just happened so quickly, and I cannot imagine how scary that must have been, just completely drifting through the corner that you were supposed to hit the apex. So Sonny Brown completely went the opposite direction. Luckily no damage, I'm pretty sure, so that's quite good. And Andrew, I was just realizing, with that tow for Spencer Hewins, the Duck Hawk Racing team, out of 3 cars on this race, just went to 1. Fabio Zamperlini is the only car, looks like, that is left racing, so this could play out big for their constructor standings.
This is really big, suddenly, for 2 of them to drop out. Team standings are going to take a hit for the current team leaders. Here's Jose Antonio Ramos in the pit lane. Blake Scott in as well. In fact, right behind Jose. Lupe Gonzalez is in further down the pit lane, at least closer to turn 11, it looks like. Ian Ward, he started from the pit lane, so he shows a pit stop, but he didn't actually pit. Meanwhile, Mikel Rudebush has already made his stop. Here we go. There's the pit lane timer for him. 41:05 total time, 17:58 pit box time. That's big as he cycles out right behind, I think that's Bryce Rodriguez right in the front. No, Rob Rodriguez Jr. and Daniel Hall are the 2 cars in front of Mikel currently.
Well, this is not going to be good because I'm pretty sure they're not going to get blue flags. You can correct me on that, Andrew. No. But yeah, so
this is 4 position currently.
Yeah, so that's one of the disadvantages of hitting quite early, trying to go for the undercut. You're just going to have to sometimes filter out behind traffic, and unfortunately for him, maybe for just 1 or half a second, you just come back behind those 2 cars. Looks like he already got a decent run out of the corner, and it looks like he's going to be passing Robert Rodriguez if he goes for a dive, does he? Looks like not quite, so he's playing it quite safe. He had a big gap to Jackson Rezende, but he has to fend off Fabio Zamperlini, who's still on the racetrack, so that overcut could work out for the Brazilian driver.
Yeah, this is... I don't think this is going to work right now for Mikel Rudebush getting stuck behind a slower car. And, I mean, no fault of Rob Rodriguez right here. This is Rob just trying to run his race, and now Mikel is trying to get on by. Meanwhile, pit stops up ahead. One of them being Take Him, and there goes Rob Rodriguez into the pit lane. Look at this busy pit lane right now, JP. My goodness, that's a lot of cars.
That's an amazing looking drive-through, and I'm pretty sure each and every single one of them is trying to maximize their pit cycle. Looks like we do have a lot of cars filtering. It's kind of difficult to see who won and who lost out. Looks like that's going to be the McLaren of Juan Rivas, and looks like he comes ahead of a few drivers, and I'm pretty sure who that was. Fabio Zamperlini, is he still out on the racetrack? No, he just pitted in 16 seconds. That was a bit quicker than Mikel Rudebush, wasn't it? Yes, it was 1 second quicker.
And this is how it sorts out now. Fabio back in front of Mikel Rudebush. So, A, the longer pit time. B, getting held up by Rob Rodriguez Jr. going to impact this race for the 222. Further back, Ian Ward. Oh, what is this? Into turn, I guess not even a turn, the bus stop.
That was a move around the outside, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't for position. Looks like that was a lapped car ahead of him. And, well, that was bold, and that was quite beautiful, I may add. And, well, looks like he's on the chase for Take Kim ahead of him and John Sadler as well.
A development here to the Spencer Hewins situation. Chiming in on YouTube saying he got a meatball out of his incident. Can you believe that? A meatball flag.
From that small crash. Well, that
I wasn't even a crash. He spun and then just backed it into the barrier a tiny bit. Can you believe that? A meatball.
If that was an F1 car, I would take it. But a GT car, well, that's just straight out bad luck.
Leaders are in the pit lane. Pedro de Oliveira and Jackson Resende both, a couple of teammates, and here comes Scott Kimbrough as well, joining them. And the two teammates leave almost in unison, much closer it seems than they would have entered. Let's check the pit time.
100%.
Yeah, faster time for Resende. This is big, so I think maybe trying to underfuel a little bit. Here's the pit timer for Jackson Resende. You see a 37.96 overall time, 14.78 pit box time. The timer then for Pedro, yeah, a little bit longer. 38.4 overall time, that's 4/10 longer, and almost, looks like over a half a second longer for Pedro.
Yeah, exactly. Looks like Pedro went for the right fuel amount. Obviously, he's punching there. He's the leader. He's not saving fuel as much as some other guys. Jackson Resende knew this was the only shot that he had at a podium. Oh, looks like Mikael Ritterbusch lapping a car mid-bus stop. That's quite brave as well. But he's chasing for that podium. He's trying to go for a third place. And, well, if that's everything that he needs to do, I'm pretty sure he's going to do it. And Fabio Zamperlini is just trying everything that he can to stay up front. But Jackson, that's the only chance that he has to trying to get close to Pedro, because Pedro is actually shooting off to the distance during the first hit. So if he can keep himself in that slipstream, he might have a shot at the win.
And in case you're wondering what a meatball flag is, what we were talking about with Spencer Hewins, it's a black flag with a orange circle in the middle. It looks like a meatball, so it's called the meatball flag, literally called the meatball flag, and it indicates when race control is posting you for a penalty for too much damage. So the iRacing Sim race control is posting him for too much damage, and that was a penalty for having too much damage somehow in that little incident that we saw in turn 6. So very unfortunate there for Spencer Hewins. This is on board with Bryce Rodriguez, currently in 12th spot, chasing Tay Kim in the 277, that white Ferrari that we've gotten used to. And John Sedlak is right in front, along with Scott Kimbrough. These guys battling 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th on the course.
Yeah, exactly. This is a battle which any one of these guys can come out on top. This is going to be really interesting to see how it plays out at the end. Looks like we do have four Ferraris battling. I'm not pretty sure which car Scott Kimbrough is running. John Sedlak is also on a Ferrari, I'm pretty sure. So, I mean, a Ferrari road train essentially, but looks like the top three, the bottom three are much closer together. So this could be really interesting. Obviously, the same car, same setup. This is all going to be down to just driving. It looks like Bryce Rodriguez just got a better exit. Looks like John Sedlak just came out worse on turns number 1.
These four are all in Ferrari 488 Evo GT3 cars. And maybe a battle down to the bus stop. Here we go. Bryce Rodriguez going to look to the inside to take him. Backs out. Solid thought there to back out. I like poking your nose, maybe forcing a mistake potentially, but backing out I think is a good idea at this stage in the race. Still a lot of time to go, 16 minutes in fact. Some more battles throughout the field. Here's Jose Antonio Ramos, not Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez, there we go. Chasing down Matthew Casey. This is for 17th and 18th. Diego Eda is right behind these guys, and Joshua Benjamin is some 7 seconds back of these guys. So this is a good little battle right inside the top 20. These are some amateur drivers going at it. The amateur leader, however, is still Juan Mantive, and this is big for this guy.
Exactly. This is one of those performances that we were talking about pre-race show. And, well, if he can keep himself in this position, looks like he has a healthy gap to Blake Scott and Brian Long right behind him. So if you can keep this up, obviously running at the end of the race, you might feel a little bit more pressure as you're winning, obviously, your category. So he just has to keep himself composed. And if he can just manage this gap, he'll be golden till the finish. And looks like he's on overall 13th place. So really solid race around Watkins Glen, especially on a BMW, not running the dominant Ferrari. So big props to him.
Now, he does have to be careful in these last 15 minutes because Blake Scott is just behind, in fact, 2 seconds behind, and Brian D. Long is right behind Blake Scott. So the rest of the amateur podium is very close to Juan Mantive. This is all very close for these top 3 spots in class. Juan Mantive sitting 13th overall, Blake Scott sitting 14th overall, Brian Long sitting 15th overall, and even William Coffey, Matthew Casey, a lot more amateur cars are all stacked up. This is a rare opportunity that we've seen where mostly, at least in the front, it's all pro drivers and then all amateur drivers. There's not that mix that we've seen so many times before. This is a bit different from what we've gotten used to, I'd say.
Exactly. I was just gonna mention it. The top 12 seems to be all pros, and as you
And then
can
look at
see on
that,
your
8
screen,
yellow
yeah,
numbers.
exactly, 8 yellow. So perfect split. It almost seems like a Le Mans class split, and well, it's nice to see, obviously, but we kind of do love seeing the underdog kind of just going into the top 5
Oh,
sometimes, as we do have.
whoa!
Oh, is this for third place? Is
This
this?
is.
Yes, Fabio Zamperlini getting passed by the Porsche. So maybe I'm mistaken. That was really, really aggressive. I'm not pretty sure who was passing who, who's defending. But Michael Ruderbusch somehow is ahead of Fabio Zamperlini once again.
Fabio just lost this spot. That was aggressiveness from him to try and get it back out of turn 7. If these two separate, we'll try and get you a replay here. Yeah, that was really aggressive from Fabio, looking around, moving around very aggressively. I want to see these guys into turn 1 before we go for a replay, but it seems like Fabio, on his heels now, is really having to try and chase Mikel. This is odd. We've not seen this out of Fabio Zamperlini unless it was battling with somebody like Jackson Rosende last season.
Yeah, exactly. Does not seem to be essentially a good race pace for him. But obviously, the Audi does not seem to be as, I guess, as fast. But I'm not pretty sure what the pace of the Porsche is. Obviously, Mikel is the fastest Porsche in the racetrack. As we're gonna take a look at the replay, I'm interested to see what happened and how. Well, looks like Mikel was already heading to the bus stop, exiting the bus stop. But Fabio was right there, so it may have just happened between turns 1 and the bus stop.
Here we go. This is the pass for third place. This really got set up for quite a while by Mikel Ruderbusch. This was going on for some time. This is the draft up the S's. And right there, chooses the inside. Fabio can't quite cover it up. That's really smart by Fabio to give it up. Recognize the situation. Recognize that Mikel is just going to have it into the bus stop, but he fights back. Whoa, that's aggressive. That's how you know these two want to finish third. Each one of them wants to finish third.
Yeah, exactly. Quite an odd choice from Fabio, at least in my opinion, to give up the inside line of the bus stop. But as you can see, he kind of thought maybe about the long run as he goes down the inside. That's a really bold move. There wasn't a lot of space, and they're going to go side by side through pretty much every single corner. Through turn 7, looks like. Wow, look at that. You cannot put a hair between those two. But Fabio ends up losing out, going quite a bit ways off. Does get a slightly better exit. And then Mikel just covers him off, and well, after that is all said and done, we saw what happened. Fabio kind of just has to yield at this point in time, and boy, that was an amazing fight. That's gonna shoot out some amazing photos for our social medias.
Yeah, that was something right there. That was really, really something between those two. And the battle goes the way of Mikel Ruderbusch. Back live will go. And Mikel has opened up a slight gap. It's not large yet, but it's enough, I'd say. Enough of a gap here in the pro podium. This is really big for Mikel Ruderbusch to finish on podium a second time, put Fabio Zamperlini even further back on his heels. These drivers should have a drop week when it's all said and done, potentially even 2. But even so, missing Monza is really going to hurt Fabio's chances this season. That's one of his drop weeks, if not his only drop week already.
Exactly, 100%. If you do have a drop week, unfortunately, you don't want to really use it on your first attempt, on your first race, because that's just going to put you under pressure for the rest of the season. And obviously, Mikel keeping up with consistency in third place, that's going to be amazing. Obviously, Matthew Dench DNFing on this race. He's probably going to be using his drop week as well. So,
oh dear, Pablo Ferretti, Ian Ward, big trouble out of turn 11. Big trouble.
Main straight, isn't it?
Yes, out of turn 11. Big problems for both of them. We'll take a look back. Pablo Ferretti, the amateur pole sitter, is going to end up getting loose out of turn 11, gets the grass. Let's watch this. This is the McLaren, and look at that. Those two behind were mixing things up. That was Ian Ward and another driver. This is going to be the big issue, though. This is Pablo Ferretti. Out of turn 11, he's one of the other SDS cars, grabs a tire barrier, grabs the grass there. Oh my goodness, let's watch this. Kind of a wide, oh boy.
Oh, that was a massive hit. I'm pretty sure that Ferrari had absolutely nowhere to go because the McLaren just kind of bounced back on the racetrack after hitting the concrete barrier head on. So, boy, that was a big, big hit.
That was a really big hit for Pablo Ferretti. And, of course, Ian Ward, who came in and collected him. Let's see if we can get a better view at things. This is a really awkward spot to try and get a good replay of. There's Pablo catching the wall. And, oh, man.
Oh, he just had absolutely no time to react, and I'm pretty sure that's the second time we had a flying car on the 2 season. The only one that I can recall is Fabio Zamperlini around Brazil, so I mean, it's still very, very, I guess, shocking to see a car flying, but I mean, only the second time, as you can see here. This mistake was kind of coming on. These two are heading into bed, as you mentioned. He kind of got lost on the previous corner. He just stuck behind that Porsche. He has absolutely no view up ahead, and then all of a sudden the Porsche just moves out, and you got absolutely no time to react.
Wow. That's a really unfortunate way to end your day if you're Ian Ward, if you're anybody for that matter, but that's really, really killer for him. Not what he wanted, not what he needed, and boy, at least it looks good in videos and pictures. That's what we can say. It's spectacular to watch. This is the battle for the lead. Didn't think we'd be saying that today. Jackson Resende, within a half second of his teammate. This could be big. I wonder if these two are going to get at it.
Exactly. That was a bold strategy call from Resende to essentially underfuel the car. We know he's used to that. Past season, last season, he was doing that plenty of times to get close to the leader, and then he just fuel save and attack at the same time. So he's kind of used to it. He's kind of used to the risk as well. And well, this just brought a whole life. He's down to 0.7 of a second behind his teammate. Now the question is, does he dive down the inside of his own teammate? The teammate that's obviously tied in points with Matthew Dench for the lead, who's going to be taking over the lead of the championship. I mean, only time will tell, but with 8 minutes to go, Jackson, we know he wants to win. He wants to win the championship, and I'm pretty sure he might just do it.
He has to, especially after last week's run. That was not good. There's no other way to put it about Jackson Resende last week at Monza. Just not good. Unfortunately, William Coffey, big trouble, and is going backwards here, getting turned around. This is at a turn 9. Oh, man, what has happened here? This is Rabbit Chase Racing. William Coffey turned around. At least I believe it's Rabbit Chase Racing. I could be corrected on that. This looks like it's going to be a single car incident as well, and that's even more killer if you're William Coffey. This is the trouble for the 157 car. Out of turn 8, looks stable. It's one of the more stable cars, the Ferrari. This is at a turn 9 now, and I think he's going to catch the grass. I'd imagine so. And yep, there you go, telltale.
Yeah, that is so unfortunate to catch the grass. Oh, that just came out essentially nearly hopping the fence, and you can see under his rear wing he has just a slight bit of damage. That's going to be offsetting his car and just hurting his face just a tiny bit. He does well to actually reverse and then come back safely on the racetrack. Looks like he has a bit of a damage as well in the front end. So William Coffey unfortunately dropping back down to 22nd place, looks like it, after running in 16th.
Oh no! Take him, Scott Kimbrough. Big trouble. We'll rejoin it. Here's Scott Kimbrough. Turned around in the toe, it looks like. Big trouble for Take him as well. Massive, massive contact. Scott Kimbrough still trying to get righted. We will ride with this until he's able to safely rejoin. And it looks like he'll try and do so now. That car is crabbing a lot.
No, that car is wrecked. You can see just, you can see.
This might not go well. This might not go well at all.
Just, he's trying to get to the pit lane just to take the quick repair, and then, looks like he's stopping in the end. It looks like he's going to be towing. Yep, there we go. So unfortunately for him, he was trying to get to the pit lane to avoid all the time lost within the tow, but it was just not safe at all to drive a car that is that unstable. And we're going to take a look at the replay to see what happened. They're going to go side by side. That's turn 7? Turn 6?
That was 6, and that's Take him on the outside. Now it's going to be the inside. Not Take him, that's Juan Rivas Brea for SDS. And Juan just pushes up, spins Kimbrough out into traffic. He never held the brake right there and collected Take him. Nowhere to go. The 277.
Yeah, the lack of ABS may as well have hurt. If he did obviously hold down the brake, the car just cannot lock the tires, cannot just keep momentum, and unfortunately for him, just came back on the racing line as well, out of all things. So as you can see, Take him, just absolutely nowhere. But that other I was just gonna mention, came out. Yeah, I was just gonna mention, Bryce got it extremely luckily to avoid a first wreck, but unfortunately just kind of clipped the second one. So unfortunately for him,
more heartbreak, big trouble. It just doesn't stop here at Watkins Glen. Fabio Zamperlini is turned around in the same corner. He's got the 123 with him. The 123 is, I gotta find him here. Boy, I still can't find the 123. It's a lap car though. Look at everybody passing Fabio.
No.
That lap car is Radhamas Rodriguez. Let's go back to Fabio. Is he going yet? No. I don't think he's gonna find a gap.
There we go. Actually came quite close. He has the gap now.
That was his gap. He wanted to back up. Now he can't do it.
Yeah, he's trying to find a 3-point turn. He's right on the... he's flashing his headlights. He has to go now. He does not get collected. Oh, that Ferrari does a nice job avoiding him, but unfortunately he's going to be dropping quite a few ways. He is right now, I'm not pretty sure he's not even in the top 10, it looks like.
No, he's dropped way down. This is big drama. This includes, it looks like, our amateur leader as well. I believe Juan Mative is part of this. That is Juan Mative, I believe. No, that's Bruno Alcaraz. Okay. Oh, teammates, it looks like. 3 wide, that'll do it. Fabio up the inside. Ron James just doesn't give him room, and Fabio caught the curb.
Yeah, Fabio caught the curb, but trying to make that move work 3 wide. Obviously, he does not want to lose any time to Mikael Rudebusch, and unfortunately, that quest for just a tenth of a second ended up causing him dozens of positions. So, really, really unfortunate circumstances. You can see he's just carrying a lot more speed through these corners. Obviously, he's running 3rd place. He had quite a fast race car. He just spots the gap. I mean, he has the momentum, but yeah, the move was never there. Yeah, he caught the curb, and then unfortunately just kind of spun, I guess, in tandem with the Ferrari, and that was enough to spin his and just stay there for at least 30 seconds, I'd say.
As Spencer said, not their race. Not their race at all. Fabio Zamperlini turned around the final Duck Hawk racing machine in this field, and he's going to have to try and rebound from that, and that's going to be a big one. That's not going to be easy to rebound from. In fact, he gets into this field in 21st. He's not even in the top 20 now. Wow.
Yeah, that's going to be big heartbreak for Duck Hawk Racing Team. Obviously, these boys up front, full-time esports, they're running the perfect race. 1-2 in qualifying, 1-2 in the race, but looks like it might be a different 1-2 than we saw in qualifying. Jackson Rezende definitely closer this time out on the exit of turn 1. It looks like he might be going for a move. Pedro has to go defensive to defend from his teammate. And boys, you're going to go side by side with your teammate around bus stop. No, you won't. So Jackson Rezende forced to back off and just take hold position for now with 2 minutes and 40 to go. Could we see a last lap lunge from Jackson Rezende on his teammate?
Eventually, he's going to have to try. Here's Kevin Sandiego looking for 4th. Does he go for it? No. Allows Brian DeVries to hold that spot. And how about this quiet day out of Brian DeVries? It's turning into a top 5, maybe a top 4. That was a bobble out of the bus stop. That opens the door for Sandiego. And boy, Kevin wants to fill that gap.
Brian DeVries went wide on the second part on the exit of the bus stop, and that just allowed Kevin Sandiego to just get closer enough to try and make a move around the inside, but obviously his door guard quite shut. Now he lost a bit of contact with Brian DeVries, and he just has to claw that back, but not a lot of time. 2 minutes left. Looks like Brian DeVries. Oh, there it goes. His top 5, and unfortunately just clipped the grass. I'm not pretty sure if he avoided the barrier, but it looks like he's going to be losing 6th and 7th. Maybe he's going to rejoin in the 8th, but yeah, quite a bit of damage in the front end of the Ferrari, but luckily for him, only 2 laps to go.
Yeah, I mean, down to a minute and a half just about. He will come and get the 2 laps to go signal in a moment, the popsicle sticks, but oh my goodness. I loved the day that he was having, and unfortunately now that's all unhinged. This will be another look at things for the number 221. Looks solid into 7, and he was opening a gap back up on Kevin, and then just, look at that, catches the grass. Another driver to just catch that little bit of grass.
He got quite wide. You can see he was not following the groove that is set on the racetrack quite perfectly, and unfortunately for him, you know, again, Andrew, just the smallest of margins on that grass, that was enough to spin out. Luckily, not as much damage, and it looks like we're gonna have live pictures. Jackson Rezende tried to go around the outside of his teammate once again, and this might be the last lap. I'm not quite sure, but if you do get the last lap, well, Jackson is running out of opportunities trying to make that move.
Not the last lap just yet, but look at that. Lap traffic ahead. That is what Jackson needs in order to be able to use Pedro, or I guess use that lap car as a pick to get by Pedro. Here we go. This is down to the toe. This is on board with Pedro de Oliveira. Now we'll go to Jackson Rezende wide. Going to try the over-under potentially. He's too far back to make it work there. So the karting move doesn't work just yet. Who is this in front? This is going to be really interesting. Is that Armando Bejaran? Yes, it is. This is going to be an interesting view for the 205.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to have to pull over at the next corner. He has absolutely no choice unless he wants to hold up these two behind him. And look at how much they close up. You know, those leaders are just running insane lap times. He's just going to be pulling over, pushing the brake pedal, and just allowing the leaders. Yeah, it looks like we did get a white flag, Andrew.
This might be it. Here we go. Jackson on the outside. That's weird. I did not expect the checkers just yet, but this looks like this is it. Pedro de Oliveira going to victory lane at Watkins Glen, Jackson Resende second, and that is, it looks like, where things end.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like Jackson tried to go around the outside on the last corner. It did not work. Mikael Rudebusch, after finally finishes third. Kevin San Diego in fourth place. And Scott Reister looks like he's going to be finishing off in fifth, with Juan Rivas Brea in sixth place.
Here is the amateur leader on the white flag presented by Tucson Sound Art. He's going to round turn 11 and is going to emerge from Watkins Glen, New York, a race winner. It's Juan Menteith winning in amateur competition, closely over Blake Scott and Brian Long. What a day for the 120.
A perfect day for him. Nearly, we kind of got our hearts dropped after we thought he was involved in that incident, but a top 10 play. I mean, as we mentioned, a top 10 finish for an amateur driver.
Jose!
It's always fun. Oh, Jose Antonio Ramos, did he run out of fuel in the last lap?
I'm not sure what's happened, but he's in the pit lane now and losing a lot of spots across the line. He's dropped now, it looks like, to 18th overall, and that's where he will stay. What just happened for Jose Antonio Ramos? Let's get a look at it. Oh my goodness. He ends up having to pit here. I wonder if it's much like Jackson Resende at Suzuka last year. There is likely a 4X with James Rodriguez. Could that have been enough to set Jose over the incident limit?
It could be. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not pretty sure you can get a lot of off tracks around here, but he's forced to go into the pit lane. It looks like that car was not chugging on fuel, so maybe it was just a penalty.
13th to 18th, 5 spots right there.
In one touch in the last lap.
It is a DQ. He just dropped to 25th. It was an incident penalty. He couldn't serve the entire penalty on the last lap. Oh, that's killer. He is now down to 25th.
I'm not pretty sure how that is resolved, if he can appeal that result somehow to the race directors, but if he cannot, well, that's a complete heartbreak on the final lap to be DQ'd.
Yeah, that's really, really unfortunate for Jose Antonio Ramos. That is the worst kind of thing to have happen on the last lap, aside from maybe getting completely stopped in the catch fence or something. That's really terrible, unfortunately, for Jose Antonio Ramos. There you see our race winner today, Pedro de Oliveira, bringing it into the pit lane and getting out of the car, at least virtually. Wow, what a day of racing here at Watkins Glen. I didn't expect any of this. This was a really, really hectic day. I didn't expect a single bit of that.
Exactly, me neither, and didn't expect all the hectic day to come out nearly on the final 15-10 minutes of the race. That made our jobs quite a bit difficult, but it definitely made it a lot of fun. And well, I cannot wait to talk to some of the obviously the race winner in second place, because this was quite interesting for all of them.
Yeah, it all seemed to happen at once here at Watkins Glen, but that's what I love about this place. It is such a good racetrack. It really, really mixes things up, keeps drivers on their toes and us on our toes as well. It seemed like it was never going to stop. I mean, that was just fantastic stuff all day long, coming to a fantastic conclusion here at Watkins Glen for round number 2. What a day of racing. So glad you all joined us for this one. Federico Tamayo saying, wow, death track. I don't know about that one. Watkins Glen is a fantastic course, but sometimes, yes, chaos can happen here at this 3.36 mile facility in New York. We're going to take a step aside. Don't go anywhere. Post-race coverage is on the way from Pit Stop TV for the North American Racing League.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of 2 products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Welcome back to the virtual Watkins Glen International in virtual Watkins Glen, New York. What a show. This little road course, born from streets of New York way back when, that has evolved into whatever shape you want to call this fantastic racing circuit. Boy, does it put on great racing. 3.36 miles of pavement spanning throughout the New York countryside, if you will. Oh boy, what a fantastic racing circuit. I really hope we get the rescan soon with proper curbing and proper runoff here. It will change things so much and really open things up to even better battles. However, coming out on top of one of those battles was, of course, race winner Pedro de Oliveira, and JP is alongside.
Então, Pedro, mais uma vez uma corrida, dessa vez a melhor posição, a melhor corrida possível, acredito que poderia ter acontecido contigo, pole position. E, bom, tu liderou todas as voltas, se eu não me engano. Me conta mais ou menos como é que foi essa corrida aí.
Boa noite, João. Boa noite todo mundo que tá assistindo. Hello, everybody. Já mandei em inglês. Bom, tô muito feliz, cara. Tô muito contente. Foi a etapa, não poderia ter sido melhor. É uma pista que eu gosto muito, assim, acho que disparado do calendário, é a pista que eu mais gosto. E eu sabia que ia ser muito complicado, porque o Jackson também gosta bastante dessa pista, e a gente tentou ao máximo evoluir aí durante a semana, e eu treinei muito para essa corrida, e ainda bem que deu tudo certo. Eu não esperava pole, eu e o Jackson a gente estava andando muito parecido. Depois a gente conversou, ele disse que errou a primeira volta e a melhor volta é a primeira. Depois eu fiz mais uma saída para ter uma volta rápida, porque eu estava com medo dele arrancar a pole. Mas no começo da corrida a gente conseguiu imprimir um ritmo bem forte. Eu optei por tentar andar o mais rápido que eu conseguia no começo da prova. E depois, agora há pouco, eu conversando com o Jackson fez o oposto do que eu fiz. Então, no final da corrida ele tinha muito mais pneu, ele começou a chegar, tirou uma baita de uma diferença. Baita diferença não, né? Mas ele chegou, eu tive um problema com os retardatários ali, ele chegou no vácuo e ali foi muito difícil de segurar ele. A disputa é aberta dentro da equipe, lógico, sempre se respeitando. Mas é muito bacana, muito legal poder ter tido esse resultado junto ao Jackson, uma dobradinha para nossa equipe, isso é muito bom para o campeonato de equipes também. E é isso, vamos para a próxima etapa. Spa não é uma pista que eu gosto tanto, mas vou tentar dar o meu melhor lá para conseguir o melhor resultado possível também.
Bom, tu basicamente me tirou a próxima pergunta, que era Spa, mas já que tu não gosta, como é que foi essa surpresa tua? Porque a gente viu que tu tava com um ritmo bom e tu conseguiu abrir uma distância boa, né? Um gap bom pro Jackson. E depois do pit, o Jackson basicamente fez um underfill, né? Eu acredito que ele tirou muito combustível do carro e do nada ele tava na tua cola. Como é que foi essas últimas voltas batalhando com ele, volta por volta, até chegar na bandeira branca e na bandeira quadriculada?
Foi bem... foi muito legal, acho que depois que a gente analisa o que aconteceu, é muito legal ter disputa, uma corrida movimentada, né? E a gente guiando dentro do carro fica tenso pra caramba, né? Querendo ganhar. Mas o Jackson, eu acredito que ele conseguiu economizar bem mais do que eu, como eu tinha dito no meu primeiro stint, eu optei por pisar tudo que dava. Então, acredito que isso a gente não conversou, mas eu acredito que ele tenha conseguido economizar um pouquinho a mais do que eu e colocado talvez 1 litro, 2 litros a menos, que foi o suficiente para entrar na zona do vácuo de novo. E como você falou, ele saiu bem perto e eu tive suei bastante para conseguir segurar ele nas últimas voltas. Ele optou por atacar no final da corrida, o que tá certo, né, já que ele economizou mais pneu, a gente sabia que ele tinha mais pneu do que eu. Mas foi muito legal, consegui segurar a primeira posição e tamo aí, tamo vivo no campeonato, tamo bem no campeonato. Infelizmente o Matthew acabou abandonando, o Mikkel chegou em terceiro mais uma vez, então ainda tá bem próximo a disputa, então vamos lá, continuar de cabeça erguida, vamos para a próxima etapa.
Isso aí, a batalha do campeonato vai estar bem aberta. E eu só te desejo o melhor. Espero falar contigo na próxima semana em Spa. Sei que tu não gosta da pista, mas garanto que vai conseguir tirar algum coelho da cartola aí. Antes de eu te deixar aí, te desejar uma boa noite. Quem que você quer agradecer? Os patrocinadores, amigos, família? Quem que você gostaria de agradecer?
Queria agradecer primeiramente a Full Time Sports, né? A Full Time, acho que o pessoal não conhece, mas a Full Time é uma equipe de competição real aqui no Brasil e o Tony Canaan é o nosso representante da equipe virtual, né? Corre na Full Time real, corre na Stock Car brasileira. Então, primeiramente agradecer a equipe, agradecer ao Tony Canaan, ao Jackson que esteve comigo a semana toda aí treinando. Mandar um beijo para minha esposa que está assistindo, para minha mãe, para o meu pai, para minha avó, talvez tenham alguns amigos assistindo também. Então um grande beijo, um grande abraço e agradecer também a B8 Seguros, que é o nosso patrocinador, sem eles nada poderia acontecer. É isso, obrigado.
Show de bola, Pedro, uma boa noite para você, espero falar contigo semana que vem.
Obrigado, boa noite. Good night everyone.
Alright, Andrew, this is going to be quite a big one to shorten out in English, but let's go. He was very happy overall with his race pace. Obviously, this is one of his favorite racetracks. He thinks that on the calendar, this is his best racetrack, but also it's Jackson's favorite racetrack as well. So it was quite close between those two he said that his team did a lot of practice during the week to get the perfect result that they did, the 1-2. He did not expect pole position. He said that the first lap out of the pits is the best lap possible that you can get. So to set the banker in and obviously later on improve was quite a surprise. And during the first stint, he did not feel safe at all. You know, he was just full on pushing, just trying to create that gap. But obviously later on the race, that came to bite him. He said that Jackson, obviously behind him, was saving quite a bit of fuel and saving quite a bit of tires. So at the end, not only did Jackson have, you know, not only Jackson underfueled his car, he also had better tires, you know, at the end. So it allowed him to quite close up. And as we saw, you know, it allowed for side-by-side battles. He was very open with the battles. You know, he said that his team, you know, is very open as long as they're respectful. The battles are for position as well, just like any other. So that's quite interesting to take in mind for the next few rounds if the championship does get closer and closer. Well, talking about last week, he does not really like Spa. He's not really 100% confident, but I'm pretty sure with the practice that he's putting in, this is going to be really interesting to see if he can bounce back stronger as well. Obviously, he was set for Matthew, but, you know, he's interested because Mikel's finished once again in third place, so could be very interesting for the champion. And just one quick fun note that he added, I'm not pretty sure if I said last week, Full-Time Esports is actually a real Brazilian racing team from the Stock Car Championship that we have here in Brazil. One of the cars that are coming for our racing on the next season build. And Tony Kanaan races on that Stock Car Championship. That's why we have the name here.
Yeah, I actually noticed that earlier today over on Twitter. Tony Kanaan posted a fantastic video of him getting ready to jump into one of those Brazilian stock cars, and those Brazilian stock cars are soon coming to iRacing. We don't know exactly when just yet, but they are on the way. And yeah, I noticed that on Twitter earlier, and I was going to try and fold that in somewhere, but we had so much chaos and everything that we just couldn't quite get to talking about it. That was fantastic. JP, you want to do it again?
100%, let's go. Bom, Jackson, pro segundo round da entrevista portuguesa, agora contigo. Semana passada a gente não conseguiu conversar, né? Não foi uma corrida ideal, mas dessa vez foi quase uma corrida perfeita. Foi uma corrida perfeita para full time, mas segundo lugar para você, você deve estar um pouquinho feliz com isso.
Boa noite, João Paulo. Boa noite a todo mundo que está acompanhando a transmissão da Pitstop TV. Como você disse, foi quase uma corrida perfeita, mas estou feliz com o segundo lugar ali, P1 e P2 para a equipe, muito bom. Ali eu tentei salvar ali combustível e o equipamento no começo da corrida. E para mim, ver se depois do pit stop eu conseguia voltar na frente dele, não consegui. E voltei muito perto do Pedro. E ali tentei acompanhar ele ali até o final ali, porque não valia disputar ali no começo, após a saída do pit. Aí quando faltavam as 3 voltas ali, a gente começou ali a disputar ali, tentar disputar, mas ali bem sempre cauteloso ali, porque era mais importante pra gente o P1 e P2 ali pro campeonato de construtores ali também. Era muito importante, já que nossos concorrentes acabaram indo mal nessa prova. E, cara, muito feliz com o P2 e estar de volta aqui. Corrida passada tive um pouco de azar, mas essa aqui, graças a Deus, deu tudo certo. E é isso, vamos para a próxima e agradecer aos patrocinadores, a Full Time e a B8 Seguros.
Bom, garanto que eles estão felizes, mas antes de eu te deixar um pouco mais da semana que vem em Spa, como é que tu se sente? A gente acabou de falar com o Pedro, ele não tá muito confiante, ele não gosta muito da pista, ele não se dá muito bem com ela. Como é que é a sua visão de Spa? Como é que tu acha que tu vai conseguir desenvolver semana que vem?
Spa, depois da largada ali, sobreviver ali no final da reta oposta ali depois da Rouge ali, aí começa a corrida, mas eu gosto bastante de uma pista que eu gosto bastante e vamos treinar pra gente vir forte pra Spa também.
Bom, se essa semana foi alguma coisa de dizer para esse full time, eu garanto que vocês estão vindo com tudo e vai deixar esse campeonato de construtores muito, muito interessante. Quão importante para vocês é esse campeonato de construtores? Obviamente não tem uma premiação dedicada, mas como que é para vocês? Como é que vocês estão levando isso?
Full time é a equipe da Stock Car no Brasil que o Tony e o Rubens Barrichello correm. É muito importante a gente dar esse título de construtores para ele. Eu acho que mais importante do que o título de piloto.
É uma visão muito interessante que a gente tem, né? Especialmente vindo de você, mas realmente é muito interessante e obviamente eu tenho que ser imparcial, mas eu espero um pouco que venha para um título brasileiro. E, bom, Eu tô realmente feliz de conversar contigo de novo, Jackson. Espero falar contigo semana que vem em Spa. E, bom,
Eu
vamos ver
também
como é que.
espero.
Vamos ver como é que vocês vêm pra cima, como é que a Full Time vem. E, bom, é isso aí. Boa noite, parabéns pela corrida e espero falar contigo semana que vem.
Eu também, obrigado. Boa noite, João Paulo. Até semana que vem, se Deus quiser.
Até. Well, Andrew, that was quite a shorter one, but quite a few things. He said it was an almost a perfect race. Obviously, he qualified in P2, stayed in P2 for the whole race. As we mentioned before, he was happy for second, but on the first stint, he was actually saving fuel. He was saving his equipment, so saving fuel, saving tires, conserving the car, trying not to make a lot of mistakes, and that allowed him to get in a better position for the second stint. So obviously, with the amount of fuel saved, he got quite a bit of shorter stop. I'm pretty sure he also underfueled quite a bit, and that allowed him to get closer to his teammate, but he elected not to actually go for it within 10-15 minutes to go right after the stop. He felt that it was not worth it risking both cars, so within 3-4 minutes to go, he started going for it, starting to battle, but unfortunately just could not make the move stick. Obviously, I talked to him about Spa as well, and he said that essentially the race starts after the Camel Straight, after everything just kind of gets settled and done, after obviously the first corner and Eau Rouge can be quite hectic, but he does like Spa, so he could be a force to be reckoned with next week. And he also, he was actually mentioning quite a bit about the Constructor Championship. I mentioned there's no essential prize, individual prize for the teams, but he said that for him it's more important to win the constructors than to win the driver's title for him. So quite an interesting view that we see from a racing driver who normally, obviously, they want to win the constructors, but also thinking about personal glory. So quite an interesting view in my opinion. But props to him, and hopefully they can achieve. I'm pretty sure some of the other teams will also give them a big run for its money.
Yeah, that team championship is going to be something to race for as the season goes on, especially when you've got a team like Full Time Esports in the mix. And there's so many others that I think we've got to watch out for. It seems like it's a single car operation for now from Pacific Sim Motorsport, but with Mikkel Rudebusch up there in the front like this, they could still be contenders at least for a top 5. So Mikkel Rudebusch doing great things, and of course you have to consider other teams like NARL Racing / Team Empire. Those guys of Scott Reister and Scott Kimbrough, I think there'll be something to look out for throughout the rest of the season. So a lot to watch for throughout the rest of season number 2 for the North American Racing League. Let's take a look at our results today from race number 2 at Watkins Glen. Pedro de Oliveira winning today at Watkins Glen every single lap except for one, I believe, throughout pit stops. And even that, I'm not so sure that he didn't lead it. I think this might have been only a 28-lap race. Yeah, I'm not sure. Regardless, Pedro de Oliveira with the race win. Jackson Rosende checks in at second. Mikkel Rudebusch checks in third. That's your podium today for the pro category. Kevin Sandiego fourth. Scott Reister making the top 5. Juan Rivas Brea finishes 6th. Ryan DeVries in 7th. John Sedlak in 8th. Bryce Rodriguez in 9th. And Juan Metiv, the amateur winner, in 10th.
In 11th place, we're going to have Blake Scott. 12th place, Brian Long. Diego Era is going to be in 13th place. Matthew Casey in 14th, ahead of Joshua Benjamin. Rob Rodriguez is going to be in 16th, ahead of Daniel Hall. Joshua Jensen in 18th. Fabio Zamperlini, a heartbreak for him nearly at the end, runs off in 19th place. And William Coffey is going to be finished off in the 20th spot.
Finishing 21st this afternoon, it's Scott Angelo in the 268. Mike Braun finishes 22nd. Johnny Jones in 23rd. Sonny Brown, Jose Antonio Ramos after his penalty, and Dominic Angelicio will round out the top 26, and more importantly, every car that finished on the lead lap. Armando Bejaran is the first car to come home one lap down, one of the pro drivers. Chris Winstone, an amateur driver, finishes 28th overall. Pierre Thompson, after his troubles, 29th. Pablo Ferretti, the amateur pole sitter, unfortunately drops all the way to 30th.
Kenneth Michael is going to be 31st place, right ahead of Red James Rodriguez. Sean Patterson in the 154 is going to be finished off in 33rd. 34th position for Scott Kimbrough, not the ideal race for him. Brian Sorman in 35th, ahead of Bruno Alcaraz and Zachariah Rosar in 37th. Ian Ward in 38th place ahead of Take Him in 39th, finishing unfortunately 4 laps down. Clarence Rosa as well 4 laps down in 40th place. Luke Gonzalez is going to be finished off in 41st in the number 153 and 9 laps down. Spencer Hewins, Matthew Dent, and Jose Antonio Ramos Lopez are those guys that did not finish, unfortunately 15, 16, and 29 laps down respectively.
So 44 cars in all, 43 of them started this race. Hewins gets the slight edge over Dench between those guys that unfortunately could not complete this race. This race today and all NARL races are brought to you by RaceLab, JS Consulting and TAM Liveries. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. JS Consulting provides custom website and app development, including iRacing League website design and hosting. Find JS Consulting at johnsedlak.com. And TAM Liveries offers custom packages for some of the best livery designs in iRacing. Used by pros and amateurs alike, you'll definitely look good on track, and many, if not all, of his paint schemes do look fantastic. There's a lot of them within the series. Scott Reister runs one of them, Clarence Rosa as well. Scott Kimbrough is one of the best, I think, that I've ever seen out of the TAM livery garage. It is simply fantastic, the car that Scott Kimbrough is able to drive in this series. Let's also mention our partners here at Pit Stop TV, of course, led off by Tucson Sound Art, where your picture is your music. What in the heck does that mean? Well, Tucson Sound Art produces high-quality sound art devices, so essentially a Bluetooth speaker within a wall art. So it's kind of weird to think about, but a wall art canvas that you see popping up all over the place, I love them personally. I think they look fantastic. They look nice and sleek. They don't have that ugly frame to get in the way. The wall art itself has a Bluetooth speaker within it. It's easy to charge, easy to keep powered up, and it sounds fantastic. It looks great too. This is a product that you've got to consider for a lot of your family and friends going into the holiday season. It's coming up, and you can use promo code PitStopTV for 10% of savings. That's right, 10% off if you use promo code PitStopTV, checking out from TucsonSoundArt.com. Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. With locations in Auburn, Lewiston, Naples, and Saco, Maine, and so many more popping up throughout the great state of Maine, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine owner Ashley Bullier is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. Contact Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine at permanentmakeupinmaine.com or call or text them at 207-358-8683. Whiplash Media specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and more. The official graphic and camera provider of Pit Stop TV, you can grab your iBroadcast cameras today at www.pitstoptv.com or by finding Whiplash Media on Facebook. Again, that is Whiplash Media on Facebook. Let's also go ahead and thank BAM Racing Videos by a race fan for the racing community. Not so much road racing, but a lot of oval racing. Short track, oval, and dirt racing is the BAM Racing video bread and butter. It's fantastic stuff as well. He's getting heat races out there, feature races, all kinds of the sort. It's great content. Go ahead and do yourself a favor. Check out BAM Racing Videos for all of your real racing content today. 50 minutes of racing, all wrapped up here from Watkins Glen. JP, what a race.
Exactly, what a race. We had action from start to finish. From start, obviously, more overtakes happening, all smaller mistakes, and obviously near the end, as drivers start pushing more for that fine edge for those few tenths of a second, and we did have quite a hectic final 15 minutes. But, well, it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, a few DNFs here and there, some heartbreaks for some drivers, but, well, that's all part of racing, and wouldn't be racing without it. And I'm so excited for Spa. It should be even better. This racetrack this racing league in NARL just keeps on providing race after race, and I cannot wait to see what they do in a fantastic track like Spa.
And I also can't wait to see what we've got coming up the rest of the week or next couple of weeks, the rest of the month. How about that for October? Can you believe we're already over halfway through October? Isn't that crazy?
I mean, the year's just flying on by, and, well, sometime, near enough we're going to be in Christmas.
Yeah, it's going to happen before you know it. That's why I mentioned the holiday season coming up, Tucson Sound Art, the place to go. Friday, we've got, well, tomorrow then. Yeah, tomorrow's Friday, that one. We've got Midwest Sim Racing Association National Series action from the Kansas Speedway. And then we follow up with Kansas Speedway next Wednesday. But in between, we've got the Cars Esport Tour at Rockingham. Unfortunately, a venue that is not going to be on the schedule for the rest of 2021. Was supposed to be back in March. Then was supposed to be in November. Unfortunately, tire concerns pushed each of those events, and we don't know exactly when, if at all, we'll be able to take Cars Tour late models to the Rock. But we can at least do so virtually. Here on iRacing, it's fantastic. The Cars Esport Tour heading to the Rock later this week. Well, I guess not later this week, but within the next week. Wednesday night, 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time. That'll be October 27th. Then, a little bit later in the day, it's the playoff opener for the Outlaws Sim Series at Kansas Speedway. So 2 Kansas races within a week. And boy, if you missed the cutoff race last night for Outlaws, it was fantastic. Tried something out. I was a pit reporter for Emerson Arden and Devin Kent Zimmerman, and they had fantastic racing. Seriously, this was some of the best racing that I've seen on iRacing in quite a while, at least on the oval side. It was great stuff. One caution at Iowa, and it came out on lap number 3, just somebody trying to give room and ended up getting loose in the marbles. The entire rest of the race went green, all kinds of strategy calls, and boy, it was a lot of fun trying to keep up with all of that and really bring the strategy out. That was my job, and hopefully I did an okay job of it. It was a lot of fun. Rest of the week next week, we'll have, of course, on Thursday night, 2 broadcasts, actually. Not just 1, but 2. We have the MSRA Midwest Sim Racing Association Truck Series beginning the night at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. They'll be racing at Martinsville Speedway. Now, in all of that, we're going to, of course, have Spa-Francorchamps for round number 3 of the North American Racing League. And I'm going to be honest, JP, we might be done before then. Martinsville Speedway can tend to go a little bit long, so we might get to watch a Martinsville finish after we're all said and done next Thursday. Next Friday, we're going to have more MSRA National Series action, also for Martinsville Speedway. Those 2 races, very, very important. They set up for the championship rounds for each of those series, the Truck Series and the National Series at the Phoenix Raceway. And that Phoenix Raceway might just be updated in time for our championship round for each of those series. Now that we've gotten through all of the broadcasts to end out the month here, JP, tell these fine folks where they can keep up with everything Pit Stop TV.
Well, you can follow us obviously on each and every single social media, facebook.com at pitstoptv/pitstoptv, at twitter.com for some updates, nice photos from obviously Trey Shuttlesworth and our other nice folk, at twitter.com/pitstoptv_, Instagram as well for live updates during the races at instagram.com/pit_stop_tv, and obviously on YouTube, so you can follow us live on our broadcast at youtube.com/pitstoptv1.
And Trey Shuttlesworth did his best coping with some internet outages this evening up in Pennsylvania, it sounds like, at least trying to keep up with things and do his best to keep everybody updated over on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the like, so hopefully it still looks pretty good. It always will look good, but yeah, Trey Shuttlesworth gets fantastic pictures. I was even surprised earlier. He went ahead and put a social media post out about the fantastic views here at Watkins Glen earlier on in the day. I was out on the town with Trey Patton, and I was like, dang, these pictures look fantastic. So there's a lot of reason to check into Trey Shuttlesworth's social photos here on Pit Stop TV and our social platforms, and just a lot of reason to follow us on social media as a whole. That will do it, though. I can't believe we're done. It feels like it's all gone by in an instant, but that is it here from Watkins Glen. Once again, follow us over on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, the whole lot. But that will conclude our coverage tonight from the virtual Watkins Glen. Happy to have had you all here tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. For all of Pit Stop TV, JP Costa alongside on the mic, Trey Shuttlesworth, as aforementioned, on social media coverage, myself on the mic as well, alongside somebody who makes my job easy again, JP Costa. Seriously, makes this job a whole lot easier each and every time we load up for any broadcast, really, but especially this North American Racing League. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time. Have a great night.